Welcome back to Unlock Your Creativity, Gaming for XP, and today we're going to cover a very important subject. But before we get into that, this is probably the last episode that we're going to run for now. I'm just going to put this on ice until we get a few more questions. If there's any burning issues or questions or tips that you need to be answered, please put them forward, and we'll bring Unlock Your Creativity back as we need it. So let's get into the question and let's get into the video. So the question today is, where do you get your ideas and inspiration from? And I have broken it down into a number of sections. I had to think about this real long and hard. I have spoke to a number of people who subscribe to the channel about this, a number of other people within the Fallout community and the YouTube community, and hopefully I'll give you a number of areas that gives you inspiration, and if you can go looking for ideas. Some are obvious, some are not, and really it's how I do it and what I look at personally, and what a number of people have said they do. It also covers those times when you want to build but you're just not too motivated to do it and you really want to get back in and do something. So let's have a look at the first area that I would look at to try and get ideas or inspiration from. This one seems pretty obvious: YouTube channels plus the other builders. Now, when I say YouTube channels, I don't necessarily mean Fallout 4 YouTube channels. I just mean YouTube channels in general. And you'll see in a second, there are a number of channels that we support here at Gaming for XP. I also have a personal account for YouTube, and I have a whole lot of different channels that I support. And every one of these people at some time has been an inspiration, or I've got an idea from. So you can see there quite clearly, everybody's always putting content on. And it's not a case of copying, it's just a case of being inspired by what they are doing. So that's probably the most obvious. Moving forward now, we'll go to the second point, and that's Google Images and Google+. So we'll go through both of those individually, and I'll explain how I use them. Now, this doesn't have to be Google Images, it could be whatever search engine you use, but I use Google Images, and it is just a huge resource. And you can see here I'm looking for historical buildings, and certainly there'll be a few here that'll come up in a second that I've used in some of my builds. So you can see these kind of huts are very familiar. Certainly, you know, ancient Egypt, there you go. And you know, if you look at my temple build recently, again, I think I look at ancient Aztec temples was what I looked for there. Here are the Viking dwellings, and if you've seen the sea huts videos, again, all come from here. Longhouses, all kinds of stuff that you can actually do searches on and find inspiration from. And here's the Aztec temples, as I was saying. I wanted to build that shape. It wasn't quite it didn't quite happen as it looks there, but certainly it helped me with kind of figuring out the kind of look of the temple at Starlight. So you don't have to build these exactly as they look, but just kind of work out what's the best you can do within Fallout. Now, this one's a bit different. This is Google+, and they've just put in this menu called Discover, and I'm starting to use that more and more now. So you just click on it, and you can see along the top here are a number of categories that you can click into, and I'm starting to do a little bit of just clicking into them and just seeing what they get. You can see there kind of lots of sci-fi ideas there. We'll click into the one I use probably the most often at the moment, which is environmental design. And you can see it gives you a whole lot of pages and communities and all kinds of stuff that you can click into. And there suddenly there's some ideas you can see right there. Okay. We just, if we can figure out how to get out. So scroll down and look at those articles, and it might just spark something. So Google Plus, it's a good resource, one that, as I said, I hadn't used till recently, but boy oh boy, there's plenty of ideas there. So here's another one: video games, TV and movies. And video games is an interesting one because I watch a lot of different games on YouTube, and suddenly it will inspire me to build something, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. You see Friday the 13th there, and for those of you that have been around the channel for a while, you'll know that I've done a whole build which is Markwater Crystal Lake, which is a homage to Friday the 13th and Camp Crystal Lake. And it was inspired by a discussion on my love of that movie. And so you just never know. There's lots of times I've been sitting watching TV and something will just pop into my head, and the temple, the Aztec temple, or the temple built with Starlight, again, that inspiration came from a program I was watching on Discovery Channel. So a huge influence, and we'll just show you a couple of examples of what I've done with that. So if we get into the Assassin's Creed Origins game that's here at the moment, you can see it says Gladiator Arena Battle there, and the arena that I built recently came from doing some work and doing some reviews on Assassin's Creed Origins. So there's a video game. Obviously we just spoke about Friday the 13th, and again, as some of you know and highly like, that I run around dressed as Jason at the moment. But there is a few mods with Friday the 13th, and again, that was an inspiration for me to build a settlement at Markwater. So, what else? Of course, don't underestimate your own life experiences. And this really covers where you live. Have a look at your local environment. You know, where have you travelled to? What have you experienced during a lifetime? What are you interested in your hobbies? And of course, for those of you that don't know, I live in a little place at the bottom of the world called Australia, where there are lots of friendly things waiting to meet you, as you can see by this this graphic here. But there's many things in Australia that inspire me. Even just going down to the local shops, the architecture. I've been extremely lucky. I've travelled extensively around the globe, and I've been to many places. I've travelled a lot in Asia, and I've had a lot of inspiration from various places that I've been in Asia. For those of you that also don't know what I do for a living, I'm actually a photographer, and so, you know, the travel element. So you can see here, this is a jail in Dublin, which was an inspiration for the jail at the castle. I grew up in Scotland, so I'm used to seeing lots of historical castles like that one in Blarney, and so lots of that kind of thing, those kind of things. There's another jail in Dublin. Help with my inspiration. So you know, your hobby can also be an outlet for you to get inspiration from. And many ideas. And probably the last one that I'll go to, and probably my favourite, is Fallout games. I love just wandering around Fallout games and having a look at how Bethesda and their developers have made things. There's been a number of settlements that have come out of Fallout New Vegas. That was Ranger Station Charlie. I built that whole trailer park settlement at Starlight based on that particular part of Fallout New Vegas. In the past, I have built a barber shop at the castle from Diamond City. I've built the markets here. And what I generally do is I don't try and copy them as such, but I try and get the feel and the vibe of the of how they've built, and have a good look. Just wander around in the Commonwealth, have a good look. Look at the type of materials they are using, what they would have lying around. Now you might not have picked it up straight away, but as you walk around Diamond City markets, there you go, on the ground there are all these boards that have been put on the ground. Simple little things like that can make a huge difference and give you inspiration and lots of ideas of how to look. We'll go out to the Dugout Inn because I feel like I need a bit of a drink. And I do this a lot, a heck of a lot. Just wander around the environment, have a look how Bethesda have built, and then suddenly something will pop into your head. The junkyard build that I'd done, that was done as I went out questing from Starlight to the castle and came back with an idea. So there you go, guys. Hopefully that's given you a whole lot of new resources or some areas that you can look at when you need ideas and inspiration. As I said at the start, this is probably going to be the last Unlock Your Creativity for now, and we will certainly put it back up on the channel as and when is needed. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Thanks for supporting the channel as ever, and we will catch you next time. Enjoy your week.